There is a moment most people never talk about. You were sitting alone on a Tuesday night, your phone is silent, no notifications, no one checking in, and instead of feeling empty, you feel something strange, relief, a kind of stillness that you have been chasing for years without even knowing it. The world tells you something is wrong with that feeling. The world is wrong. We live in a culture obsessed with connection. More friends, more followers, more people at your table. Loneliness is treated like a disease, and solitude is treated like a symptom. Oh. But nobody stops to ask the most important question. What if the people making you lonely were the people in the room? You were not always this way. There was a version of you who showed up for everyone. You drove 40 minutes to help someone move, and they never said thank you. You listened to the same person complain about the same relationship for 3 years and watched them go back every single time. You kept the peace at family dinners nobody else wanted to attend. You answered calls at midnight from people who never once asked how you were doing. You were not just available, you were endless. And one day, without announcing it, you stopped. You did not stop because you became cold. You stopped because you finally ran out of energy you were never meant to spend in the first place. Here is what science says about that moment. Your nervous system has a built-in protection mechanism. When it detects that an environment is costing more than it is giving, it pulls you back. Researchers call this a dorsal vagal response. Your body shifts into a kind of quiet conservation mode, not because something is broken inside you, but because something is finally working. Your system recognized the drain before your mind could name it, and it made a decision on your behalf. Withdraw, rest, protect what is left. Oh, but where did this pattern begin? For most people, it starts long before adulthood. Maybe you grew up in a house where the atmosphere changed depending on someone else's mood. You learned to read the room before you could read a clock. You learned that love sometimes arrived with chaos attached, that closeness was unpredictable, that the safest version of yourself was the quiet one in the corner who needed nothing from anyone. That was not weakness. That was survival. You were a child doing the only intelligent thing a child could do. But now you are carrying a blueprint that was drawn for a different house, a different life, a different version of danger. The pattern that protected you then is still running now, and it is worth asking whether it is still serving you or just keeping everyone at a distance because distance once meant safety. Here is the distinction that changes everything. There is a difference between a wall and a boundary. A wall goes up to keep people out. It does not ask who they are or what they mean to you. It just closes. A boundary goes up selectively. It is built not from fear, but from information. Information you have spent years collecting about who people actually are when things get hard, when you need something, when the dynamic shifts and the masks come off. You are not randomly cutting people off. You are pattern matching at a level most people cannot access. That friend who only appears when they need a favor. You clocked it before they even asked the second time. That family member who gives compliments that always come with a condition buried underneath. You felt it before you could explain it. That person who pulled you close and then disappeared the moment you needed them. You saw the shape of that story before it finished. Research out of the University of Iowa shows that people who experienced early emotional stress develop significantly heightened activity in the social processing regions of the brain. Your threat detection system did not break. It sharpened. You are not paranoid. You are precise. So what are you actually feeling when you sit in that quiet apartment on a Tuesday night? You are not feeling lonely. Loneliness is the ache for connection you do not have. What you are feeling is solitude. Solitude is the peace of not pretending. It is the exhale after years of holding your breath in rooms full of people who never actually saw you. It is the first moment of silence after a very long noise. And once you find it, ordinary chaos stops feeling like company and starts feeling like a cost you are no longer willing to pay. The people who do not understand will call you cold. They will say you have walls. They will say you need to open up, let people in, stop running. But you are not running from something. You are finally walking toward something, toward a version of your life that does not require you to shrink. Toward relationships that feel like rest instead of recovery. Toward mornings that do not start with dread. Harvard researchers followed hundreds of people for over 70 years to understand what actually determines a good life, not wealth, not status, not the number of people who show up to your birthday. The answer was the quality of a small number of close relationships. People who felt genuinely known by even one or two others lived longer, healthier, happier lives than people surrounded by dozens of shallow ones. Your circle does not need to be large, it needs to be honest. So if you have pulled back, if your phone is quieter than it used to be, if you have stopped explaining yourself to people who are never really listening, that is not something to fix. That is something to understand. You are not broken. You are not cold. You are not incapable of love. You are someone who finally decided that your energy is worth protecting and your peace is worth choosing. That is not isolation. That is the beginning of something real.